Hi everyone, Grant K here for the Flame Premium Learning channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the image-based lighting tools in Action to relight multiple layers in your composites. This is very handy when you are keying work and your layers need to be color matched to the background plate. If you would like to follow along, please click the link in the YouTube description. Or if you're watching the podcast version of this video, then type the link displayed in your internet browser. Now, normally image-based lighting, or IBL for short, is a technique which involves capturing the entire lighting environment on set in order to simulate the same lighting when it comes to CGI. In 3D terms, a high dynamic range image is projected into the 3D environment, and the environment simulates the real-world lighting information onto the 3D objects. This is widely used to create global illumination lighting, and therefore assists with blending CGI with live-action footage. The Action 3D Compositor also has the capabilities to take advantage of IBL. In this basic setup, I am feeding an IBL map into a simple 3D object. You can download the IBL map from hdrlabs.com, and it is licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share license. So please use it responsibly. In the IBL menus, the default setting is ambient that applies the global illumination to the model from the IBL map. You could also switch the IBL tools into reflection mode. This will apply the HDRI texture as a reflection rather than using it to generate ambient illumination. As a final tip, you can combine other action maps with the IBL map to get your geometry looking right. However, what I really want to show you in this video is how we can use the 3D technology to solve some blending issues. Here I have 3 keys and a background. These have been imported as matte containers with comp off in the Media Hub. All these sources are connected into an action node, and I've provided the setup that you can load through the Load Node button. I'll call up the action controls and set a dual screen split with Alt-2. So here is a typical scenario. I have keyed some singers on green screen and composited them over an outdoor background. Right now, as things stand, the keyed images have color suppression and neutral colors from the shoot. The background has its own set of coloring based on how it was shot and possibly graded. At this point, you'd normally break out the color correction tools and start grading each key to match the background. There is nothing wrong with this tried and trusted method. However, IBL mapping can actually help quite a bit in this area. Now switch to the Action Bin menu. Firstly, it's worth noting that the IBL node can be referenced from the Action background input or any media input. Another very big point to know is that the IBL tools in Action can use any image as the basis for its functions. You do not actually need an HDRI image, and it does not have to be shot in a particular way. It never hurts to shoot one on set if possible, but if you want to pick up the lighting, it is possible to use any input image. Let's take a look. In the Action schematic, select the middle singer. In the Action bin, ensure the background media input is selected and double-click on the IBL node. Straight away, the IBL node is affecting the keyed image. Let's look at the IBL controls. The singer is very dark because the default mapping type is set to angular. So the IBL node is expecting an image with angular mapping coordinates. This is one of many ways that the data can be captured. To make this visibly understandable, enable Use Back. This projects the IBL into the 3D environment as a textured inverted 3D sphere. You can now see how the image is being interpreted by Action. You can also use cubic and cylindrical IBL maps. Now, in the case of this flat image, we want to wrap it around the surface objects so we can light the singer accurately. So for flat images, I recommend choosing the cylindrical mapping type. The singer's lighting changes again. The IBL is sampling a region of the background as a tonal palette and applying that to the keyed subject. If Use Back is off, it can be difficult to judge what ambient colors of the background are being mapped to the keyed image. So turn Use Back on again to see the projected lighting environment. By adjusting the rotation values, you can shift the IBL map around to use a different part of the image as the tonal palette for the ambient lighting. So if you had a map with highlights and shadows, these could influence the ambient lighting being applied to the targeted layer. If the camera was moving through the background, the ambient lighting will change based on the pixel difference per frame. This helps simulate the changes in lighting as the camera moves. You can also adjust the jitter range that takes into consideration a smaller or larger region of the IBL when it comes to the projected ambient lighting. Just remember that you can render a composite out with this background projection. So there are controls to change the background's field of view, intensity, softness, and more. Let's turn Use Back off. So if I select the IBL node and toggle it with the H hotkey to hide the IBL, you can see the difference using the IBL ambient lighting. If the effects of the tonal palette are too dark or bright, you can adjust the intensity to a suitable level. You can also soften the texture to smooth the ambient lighting if necessary. One final control is the shade adjustment. This gives you control over how much influence the ambient lighting has on the layer. As I change the value, notice the lighting changes on the singer. This could also be used to sort out black edges that may occur when using IBL maps. This is different compared to the intensity value. So you can see how the IBL node is being used as an alternative to traditional techniques. It certainly can get you most of the way there, and you can also use it in conjunction with other action objects such as lights and other texture nodes. One final advantage of the IBL lighting is that it is an action object. This means you can apply it to multiple objects in the composite. Hold Shift-Alt and reverse parent the remaining singers. All of them receive the same ambient lighting from the IBL color palette. All of these functions are definitely a big time saver, and I encourage you to check it out. Comments, feedback, and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the Flame Premium Learning channel for future videos.